right, you want to get bummed out? Let's get bummed out. Right. I'm
He knows
gonna.
how to do it.
Hey, depressing shit is my life, baby.
Dueling decades. All right, Man Crush. Will you jump out to the lead? You pick up another point heading into our first 2-point round. You have control of the board. What category are we going with next?
Let's go news. Is that a go, Joe?
Yeah.
All right.
I give you the thumbs up, then the
Usually you give me the hand and then the thumbs up. So
I'm
when you just
trying
give
to
me
find a
thumbs up,
nice. I'm trying to find a nicer way to do it because it just feels like, shut. Okay, you can speak now on your show.
Just slow down on the Pepsi, all right, Joe? All right, so
No,
let's go.
keep me waiting.
Let's go May 7th of 1999. Normally, like I try to keep most of my selections pretty lighthearted. I don't usually go to the dark side to win around. However, this is a worst of episode, so I think pretty much anything that Joe Finley would normally select on a regular episode is fair game today. So this one's for you, Joe. This article is an article entitled "Jones Verdict Triggers." The Jones Verdict triggers soul searching by Mark Jerkowitz. Side note, cool fucking name, and he needs to be in our new band that we created with Chris DeMakes called Berserkowitz.
Yes.
Can you imagine if Berserkowitz was headed by Mark Jerkowitz? I mean, I need to shoot that over to him. Anyhow, this is via the Boston Globe, and I'm just going to summarize this one a little bit. A Michigan jury found the Jenny Jones show negligent in the murder of a guest on the program, in a ruling criticized by the First Amendment and seen as an ominous warning about public anger, not only at trash TV, but at the increasingly murky mix of entertainment and journalism. The $29 million verdict stemmed from a Jenny Jones episode in which one guest, Scott Amager, revealed himself as a secret admirer to another guest, Jonathan Schmitz. 3 days after the March 1995 taping, an apparently humiliated Schmitz shot and killed Amager. He is currently awaiting retrial after a 1996 murder conviction was thrown out on appeal. Update on that one. He was actually found guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 27 to 50 years there. He was paroled in 2017. Let's throw that out there. All right. So, Jones' ill-fated secret admirer show seemed unusual and extreme, even by talk show standards, said TV historian Alex McNeil. I want that job. I want to be the TV historian guy who just tells newspapers shit. Do you get paid for that? And it was hard to find anyone with a kind word for the brand of video voyeurism that the jury penalized with its verdict on Friday. Just to sum this whole thing up quickly. So Scott Amager and his friend Donna, who Jonathan Schmitz also knew, they went on the show to reveal Amager's crush to Schmitz. And supposedly Schmitz, he had recently been engaged, and some people from doing research assumed that he believed the secret crush was going to be his ex-fiance. And in court documents, Schmitz actually states that the show's producers told him the crush was going to be a female. But once Schmitz found out that the crush was Scott Amager, on the show itself and on the tapings, which actually didn't premiere, but there are videotapes of it, he seemed a bit shocked, but he took it all in stride. He seemed pretty jovial about the whole thing. He didn't go crazy, but then he fast forward 3 days, and Scott Amager, which is the guy that had the crush, he left a suggestive note next to a construction light on Jonathan Schmitz's porch. And I don't have the exact note, but from what I gather from newspapers, it says something along the lines of, "You have the tools to make this light bright," something along those lines. So right there, Schmitz went to the bank. He took out cash. He purchases a shotgun, shells, and goes right down to Amager's home. He eventually approaches the door. An argument ensues. He goes back to his car. He gets a shotgun, and then he shoots Amager twice in the chest, killing him like immediately. Here's the kicker of the whole thing, though. That $29 million that was awarded to Amager's family, was eventually overturned. The Michigan Appeals Court, they ruled in 2002 that the show had, and I quote, no duty to anticipate and prevent the act of murder committed by Schmitz 3 days after leaving the studio. So not only did this guy die, but his family was left with nothing because they overturned the whole ruling. So I'm bringing a downer for the news round.
Wow, that's a bummer, man. Jeez.
That's why I don't do it on a normal episode, but this one I'll do.
Yeah. Fair game to bring it out on a worst stuff for sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I want to rewind to let's go back to the conversation that some TV executive had at a table somewhere a few years before the Jenny Jones show launched, where they're like, "Why don't we do this?"
And somebody probably said, devil's advocate, well, this could happen, and they're like, no, but the ratings would be gold.
That won't happen. Come on.
The other kicker, this episode actually never even aired. So I mean, it's shitty to say, but all this was done for nothing because it never even made it to television.
Somebody has it.
Yeah, I think they showed it in court. They showed and there are clips. I think I found a couple on YouTube. But it's not much.
All right, Joe Finley, what did you bring for the news round?
All right, you want to get bummed out? Let's get bummed out. All right.
He knows how to do it.
Hey, depressing shit is my life, baby. So I will take your murder and miscarriage of justice and raise you another murder and more miscarriage of justice. Let's go to San Francisco, California, May 21st, 1979. Dan White is only convicted of first-degree manslaughter in the assassination of San Francisco Mayor George Moscone and City Supervisor Harvey Milk. While White got the lenient sentence thanks to his lawyer's defense that he had diminished mental capacity due to depression that he felt after resigning from the Board of Supervisors, then asking to be reinstated and not being reinstated by the mayor. The apparent symptoms of his depression, he was eating more junk food. And what became known as the Twinkie defense actually got his sentence lowered from first-degree murder to first-degree manslaughter, which only, for 2 counts of first-degree manslaughter, only garnered a maximum sentence of 7 years, of which he only served 5. The sentence actually caused the gay community in San Francisco to riot in what was called the White Night Riots that very night. And all of this is featured in the movie Milk, of course. And what was crazy is another big part of it. So the lawyers say he had diminished capacity. He didn't know what he was doing, all this stuff. After he got out of jail, but shortly before he committed suicide, he admitted to a police inspector that he actually did premeditate the murders and also had planned to kill Assemblyman Willie Brown and Supervisor Carol Ruth Silver as well, but just didn't get around to it, I guess. So a couple of murders, a lame defense, a questionable sentence, and a riot, all within a very short period of time, May 21st, 1979.
Bringing the sadness for the news round.
Blocka, blocka.
The news round, somebody mentioned in the chat, is they were like, is this news round equals true crime? A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, if you just release this just by itself, and it becomes true crime.
Yeah, it would be like number 1 on iTunes.
There we go.
Well, I actually had some pretty dark stuff happen in May of 1989, but I chose not to go with it, actually. I wanted to take a slightly different tone. So it's May 1989, and where do you go for the worst of news? To the pages of the Weekly World News, of course. So this article comes from the May 2nd issue, where the headline was, U.S. astronauts, close encounter rocks NASA. Space shuttle invaded by aliens, star creatures boarded Discovery, and top secret radio conversations prove it, experts say. But if we dig deep into the pages of everybody's favorite news rag, we find an article tucked way in the bottom right-hand corner of page 8 with the headline, Sausage helps cop arrest drug suspect. So naturally, this
I
caught
didn't
my
look.
eye. A naked and angry woman was smacked in the head with a sausage when drug agents burst into her apartment and started throwing pieces of meat at her attack dog. British authorities said the woman's husband was the target of the drug raid. Knowing the couple had a vicious Rottweiler in the apartment, drug agents came armed with a mound of sausages to distract the dog. Officials said the woman hopped out of bed when she heard the police burst in and got whacked in the head with a piece of sausage. The stunned housewife picked up the sausage, threw it back at the officers, and ordered her attack dog to kill. Drug agents saved themselves by feeding handfuls of meat to the Rottweiler, then placed the woman's husband under arrest. So, and you can read about this and all of the other great stories in the Weekly World News on newsstands May 2nd, 1989.
Side note, my movie, there's a scene where it's Batman. It's not actual Batman. It's a guy named Batman who carries around a bat. Well, he gives his bat away and he ends up beating up a grandmother with a 12-inch dildo.
Ooh, that's almost like a sausage.
It's almost like a sausage. It made me think of that, so I figured I'd throw it out.
Snagged. Man, that was like having to watch Wild Wild West and then have a banana split.
Do you want me to read Wild Wild West lyrics to even you out?
Yeah, let's do it. Go ahead.
All right,
Fuck it.
let's see. I think I have okay. Any damsel in distress, be out of that dress. When she meet Jim West, roughneck go, so check the law and abide. Watch your step with flex and get a hole in your side.
Poetry.
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
You forgot Wiki Wild Wild. Wiki
Oh yeah,
Wild
it's a
Wild
wiki
West.
wiki. I didn't want to do that one. I figured the lyrics are a little bit.
Oh man. Well, so I'm supposed to pick the worst of this. First of all, the Harvey Milk thing is disturbing as hell, and also this is a little morbid, but can we know more about Dan White, please? Because there's not enough explanation going on here. This guy is very strange.
Yeah,
right?
so I can give you a little bit more background. So basically, Dan White, it was a kind of a hyper conservative who didn't like that specifically Harvey Milk, being the first openly gay member of the supervisors board, was appointed, and he resigned in protest. And then when he realized that meant that the mayor was going to be able to appoint who he wanted, and he was a very progressive mayor, and so very unlikely that somebody that he would support would be selected. So he asked to be reinstated, but it met with a lot of resistance, not just from the mayor, but from other people in the, in the mayor's office and in City Hall. And so he had, the way it went down on the day of the murder, he actually snuck in a window at the side of City Hall because he knew he would be subject to a metal detector if he went in the front entrance, and he shot both the mayor and Harvey Milk within City Hall, and I guess he was looking for the other two. Then he took himself to his former, because he's a former cop, he took himself to his former precinct, turned himself in.
That doesn't do, like, there's something missing from this in like a, I don't know, like giant arc of the universe kind of way. Like, what made Dan White
according to his lawyers, junk food.
Well, yeah, that's bullshit though. Like what is the he was in a position of power, right? Mm-hmm. He was an elected official, yeah, like he was there. And did he just like come up thinking that, like, oh, if you have opposition in politics, you kill them? Like, is that where did that, what, that's sort of like, even for the 70s or the 80s, which were pretty fucked up, that's another strange. I wanted to know what the hell, because there's a lot of true crime, serial killer stuff out there, and I feel like he's an untold serial killer story. Was he killing other people? Like, it's just like, I find it hard to believe that the first time that he decided to kill somebody was at his job at City Hall. Like that's
true.
That's a little bit like he did that before.
That's a leap.
Yeah,
that's a leap. Yeah.
Maybe when he was on the job as a cop, who's like routinely killed people who couldn't defend themselves, or like whatever else. I would be surprised, really surprised, if that was he was like, suddenly I ate a Twinkie and I shot my colleagues. Get out of here.
That's like my guy. They blamed the first time he got out of that trial. One of the things they said was, well, he's got Graves' disease, and that makes your thyroid overactive, and he gets mad easily, and that's why he did it.
Well,
and that worked.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like my guy. They put the Hulk on trial, and he didn't do it.
I had a drink in my mouth, dude.
I'm glad I
rape
didn't.
anybody.
I love you, Mark.
Well, no, it is interesting, though. You did pick two people who seem to have flown themselves way off the handle. Like, what kind of extreme homophobia are we dealing with, even in the late 90s, that you're going to go and completely destroy your life, get a shotgun, and go kill a guy?
Who cares?
Right?
It's kind of flattering. It's like, oh, cool. Both sexes kind of like me.
Yeah, none of it makes any. It doesn't make any sense.
If I could just put it to you too, it was San Francisco. Like it was. It's not like it.
Yeah. Well, are you saying both cases occurred in San Francisco?
No,
it was.
No.
They were both. Oh no.
Mine was in
for mine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, this. Well, anyway,
that's Joe trying to push his case. Go ahead, Your Honor.
On an unrelated side note, the Jerkowitz-Berkowitz thing really
Berserkowitz.
I got stuck on that. Yeah, the Berserkowitz. I saw a band.
Do you want to be in the band too?
Yeah, maybe. So I opened for a band when I was playing clubs in New York, called Phil Asio and the Wet T-Shirt Contest. Yeah. These guys were from I think South Carolina or Virginia or something, and they were really weird. They wore like prep school button-down shirts, and the singer had a strap-on dildo that was sticking out of his zipper, and the bass player was called Wank Stankley, and they had this whole.
You met my dad.
Was the drummer Connie Lingus?
I think so. Are you looking them up right now? Did you find their demo
I don't
tape?
know.
So I had their demo tape, and I just remember thinking that this is the strangest, most sort of like their banter in between. He was like a game show host to be like, okay, that was a good one. How was it? Like, and the whole shtick, right? So that was a moment that I was brought back to Wank Stankley and Berkowitz, Jerkowitz, or whatever you had going on there. Yeah, this is I consider the Harvey Milk thing and the Jenny Jones thing to be equally disturbing and for different reasons. They're both reflective of what we're basically dealing with now, which is that right wingers think that if they lose, they can just kill people. And I mean, also the media thing on the Jenny Jones tip, like, what part of that horror show didn't eventually seep into our like cable news, right? That's basically like of the DNA of everything that is presented on Fox, and so like I feel like they merge into one thing that's equally just gross, and so I'm gonna go with like a dead tie for first two, and I'm gonna totally let Sausage Dog off the hook.
Wow.